This evening's webinar was made possible with funding support from the National Endowment for the Arts through their Artwork Grant Program. Video recordings of past Pro Network webinars can be found on the Erie Arts and Culture's website. This one will be available when we're done here. And I'll also throw up some links that I'll be referencing tonight. I have some great templates and stuff for you all to use if you're interested in diving into Trello and exploring some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. So stay tuned for that. So let's talk about why we're here. What is a project management system? So basically, a project management system is a tool for managing your workflow and your assets. So it's very handy for productivity, organization, automation, and Trello is just one of many different project management tools that are out there. Some other examples include, you might have heard of Asana, Bootcamp, Monday, and these tools are most commonly used for teams, but I found a way in my years of experience, I have about 6 years of experience using it myself and with training some teams on it. I found a way to use it individually that's been very helpful as a freelancer and small business owner. So I'll dive into using Trello in both formats, as a team and as an individual. So here are some roles that may find Trello really helpful if you're in nonprofit management. So if you're managing multiple people, projects, and processes, if, like I mentioned earlier, if you're a creative entrepreneur or small business owner, if you're a freelancer, particularly a digital freelancer, so much is happening in the digital space, and a lot of companies and freelancers are going remote. Everything's remote and digital now. So now is a great time to dive in and start learning project management tools. We're going to talk about how practicing artists can use Trello. Trello is also great for just one-off events or like festival planning. So I'll show you an example of that. And then I can use Trello for creating public boards. So organizing information and releasing it to the public, or even just like a group of people. So for instance, one of our like public facing boards at EAC is we have a board for our board of trustees that puts our notes and different documents that we need to publish there. It makes it really easy for everyone to access those without having to dig through email chains. Some really helpful instances for using Trello. Personally, I use Trello to manage storing my receipts for things. So when it comes time for taxes, I'm not sifting through a Google Drive or my desktop or all of that. I just keep each receipt attached to each project. And it just saves me so much time come tax time. I use it for managing contracts and anything that I need signed from different entities, W-9s. I use it to keep track of my inventory, so spreadsheets of what supplies I have on hand or what I might need in the future. Trello can be used for your deliverables and your timelines, the actual like logistics of the project itself, and not just your administrative needs. So why Trello exactly? Trello, I find to be the most user-friendly of all of the project management systems, especially when I'm training a team. Because when you're working with a team, different team members have different levels of comfortability with technology. And I just find that like Trello has the lowest barrier to entry. It's definitely the easiest one. Some project management systems are geared more towards like engineers or programmers or those who are Excel list happy and oriented, which I, like, full disclosure, am not. So I like Trello because it's visual. You can use photos, cards, color code things. It makes it really easy for you to identify things with visual cues rather than just lists. Although you can shift your Trello views to fit how you want to see the information. There's different list views, different calendar views if you are more inclined that way. I like Trello because of the correspondence and comment function within the cards. You'll see it keeps conversation, especially amongst team members, very clean, gets you out of your email. Email chains can get really long and messages can get convoluted and lost. Attachments can get lost. So this just keeps everything in one place and keeps everyone on task and hopefully not going off on any tangents or anything. So I love this like correspondence comment function that you have for every individual project in Trello. I also like the task, due date, and notification function. So depending on what safety nets you need to make sure that you meet your deadlines, you can customize this to set up, what works for you. So you can have like notifications for due dates in just the web browser of Trello. You can have the Trello app and have push notifications. You can get email reminders, weekly summaries of what's going on Trello. So whatever you need to keep yourself on track, Trello is really great with being able to customize that. I love the collaborative aspect of Trello. It's really easy for the team and stakeholders to view your projects and deliverables and progress. And you can choose whether you just want certain people to just view certain cards and boards and be able to see what's going on, or you can grant them access to actually make edits and changes to cards. And I find that to be very, very handy with just handing off and showing processes and deliverables. One of my favorite things, and John here tonight, who's with us, mentioned that he's really into like processes and automations and checklists, those sort of things. Trello makes it really easy to set those up. So if you know that for a certain type of project, you need this list of things, all right, you can set that checklist up with certain due dates and get a nice little automation flow going for every single project. So you don't have to think through, okay, what are all of the individual pieces that I need for this? It's just already there for you, which anything that takes off some mental strain of me trying to think and plan things through, I am very appreciative of that personally. And I just find Trello to be so helpful in that department. Another reason we wanted to cover Trello for the Pro Network is I truly believe with remote work trending in the direction that it's trending, I think in the future, we're going to start to see project management systems listed on resumes in the same way that we commonly see skills like Microsoft Word or Excel listed on resumes, okay? It is going to be a desired trait to have, if not maybe required in the future. So like now is the time to learn. And as I said, there is like that learning curve for Trello, but once you're over that hump, I found that everyone that I've trained, and like that I've trained maybe around 15 to 20 individuals now. I find that once they get over that hump, everyone is very appreciative and they never go back to their old ways. They just stick with using a project management system. So there's a free version for individuals. It's limited, but it'll get most of the job done. There's a paid version for nonprofits. There's a large discount with it, which is really awesome. And the paid version has more capabilities and more things that you can do with it. So with Trello, you can start with a blank slate, or you can find a template online. So what we're looking at right now on our screen are, hopefully, are we still there? We're still seeing my screen? Good, I see nodding. Okay, we're looking at different boards, all right? So you can have different boards for different projects. If it's a big project that's gonna have a lot of parts, it might have its own board. How EAC does it is we have different boards for different departments. So I'm gonna click through. I have a board just for my marketing items. You can see all the stuff I've been doing in Q4. Look at this big column here. So don't let this intimidate you just looking at this, because this is something this particular board I've been using for 2 years. So it's quite dense and populated. But this is a board for an entire department. And like I said, you can do a board for just a project. I'm going to show you what that looks like. So here's a project. This is not EAC related, but this is the Corgi Festival that I host every year. And this is just a board just for managing that. All right. And then when I'm done with this board, I can either archive it, delete it, duplicate it, and use those checklists for the next year. But think of the boards as like a vase. And within boards, you have these things called cards. So see what I'm picking up here? This is called a card. The cards are like flowers with stems that go in the vase. And if we want to go even further into it, once you click into a card, the card has a bunch of details. You know, it might have a photo, it might have different checklists, it might have different due dates. All of those, you could think of those as like the petals of the flower. So let's just go into a basic setup here, all right? A basic setup of Trello, keeping it real simple, is you have your columns, all right? Columns. And your columns might designate a different stage of the work that you're in, or it might designate a type of card that you want to put in that column. But you have columns, which are these things, and you have cards. So a helpful column that I start with when I'm working on just a basic board for a project or for an event, I start with a column called stickies. And in this column, I can just add things that I reference quite often, all right? So I could add, think of this as a container. I could add all of my logo assets here. I could add my passwords to my Etsy and my website logins here. I could add any maybe like waivers that I would need to send out to vendors to sign, or even waivers for people who purchase tickets, any kind of documents, anything I want maybe a lawyer to look at, or, you know, my event insurance, any of those things that just need a permanent home and need to live somewhere, I can add to the sticky column, and this column doesn't move. Another column that I find helpful for like projects or events is like a sponsorship or outreach column, which you'll see that I have here. And in here, I might make a card and I could annotate anything about like Marquette. They were a sponsor of Corgi Fest last year. So if Marquette sent me over any documentation that I needed to sign, I could add that here. If I had any ideas for what I wanted to pitch them, like, hey, next year, you know, donate more, we're going to do XYZ with this, with these funds, I would put, maybe attach my pitch in here. I could add my point of contact. If I wanted to then follow up with Marquette and send like a thank you for sponsoring, I could add my thank you letter here, because maybe, you know, maybe that thank you letter is something I want to reference again in the future. So that's a helpful column to have. And here's where it gets exciting. All right. So in this board, I have this set up just like in sequencing for how you would go about completing a task. So I have to do, I have in progress, I have blocked, and I have complete. All right. So to do is pretty self-explanatory. I know that I need to create a t-shirt design for the 2022 Corgi Festival. I can go in here and create a card, right? So you would just click add card, but I've got it already created, so I'm going to click here. I could create a card, attach my design or sketches here as an attachment, as a JPEG, as a scan, as a ping, as a PDF, whatever I need. I can make a little to-do list. All right. So when I'm done getting a quote, I can check that off. I can add the quote here. I can set up my e-commerce functionality to take my pre-orders online. And then when I'm finished with that, check that off my list. in the description, I could add a link to my e-commerce store if I wanted to quickly access, well, where are these shirts? You know, how many have I sold? What are the analytics here? I would attach all of that information here to this card, right? And down here in activity, I can write little notes to myself. So maybe like on July 2nd, I spoke to the vendor. Shirts will be delayed by 2 weeks. I have sent out an email to all people who pre-ordered shirts to let them know. So what's nice is I could put a little note to self in here so that I don't forget, and then say I need to maybe pick up my shirts by a certain time and mail them by a certain time. I can then add an item that says pick up shirts at vendors. And another item that says mail pre-ordered shirts. And with this premium version that I have of Trello, I can put little due dates on all of these checklist items, okay? I must not be logged in correctly, but normally I can put a little due date here so that I'll get a push notification when my deadline is approaching, so that I don't forget to pick up my shirts or to mail them out to my people. I'll get a push notification here or on my phone if I have the app, or by email if I've designated that option, which helps me keep on track with my deliverables. Let's see, so I talked about boards, cards, I talked about checklists. Okay. And you can see all my other to-dos, like book a photographer, rent tents, event insurance, make other merch. So I think we're good with this event planning board. You kind of get the gist. Cards would start to move along here as I finished them. One last column I want to mention before I move on to a different Trello board setup is this blocked column. You'll see that in a lot of my templates. The block column is, I put that there when I'm working on a project and I can't continue that project until I have input from someone else, or someone else needs to do something for me. So like sign a form before I can proceed. Give me something before I can proceed. This block column just helps me not lose my spot with where I'm at, especially due to, you know, external situations. So I highly recommend this, especially when you're working with a team too. You can kind of see, okay, where is like the bottleneck? What is, you know, the holdup with certain things? So the block column is very helpful. Let's bump over to here's a board for pretending that I am an artist, all right, I'm not working on a team right now. Maybe I'm just, maybe I'm just a team of one, and I'm self-managing everything that I'm doing. I have made this template and I've made it accessible for everyone who attends this webinar tonight. You can click into here and have this all set up already. You'll see this looks pretty similar, but there's some key differences here. We have a sticky column. So for artists in the stickies, I might put something like, I might put my bids in here, my contracts, my certificate of insurance, my W-9s, my photo release template, okay? Press and recognition, my vendor list, where I'm going to source things. And from there, I can start with my process. So maybe that starts with projects in bid, right? And then maybe after a project is in bid, it'll move to the projects awarded column. And I know that I'm now working on this downtown mural, okay? That's in process. You could also add a projects declined. So say I, turned down a freelance job or a commission job or whatever, but maybe I want to, maybe I just want to note that. I want to keep track of that because that's a relationship I want to expand upon in the future. But even if I didn't take this particular job at this particular time, I would put in projects declined. And then I think I would add another list here that says like projects completed. So let's go back to projects awarded and kind of dissect this card that I have in here. So downtown mural, let's see how we might set up this card. So we could add some attachments here of maybe drafts of what the mural looks like. Okay, ideas, your creative brief, your creative pitch. You might put that here. You have this due date function. So any of your pertinent due dates you could add there. And here's one of my favorite, the checklist function. Maybe we would want to set up a checklist that's like just all the administrative stuff that you need to do before you start a project. So let's put in draft, contract, send contract, obtain deposit, send like a waiver, obtain signed waiver, send W-9 for payment. And this could be my checklist name, just like admin tasks. And once I make this checklist, I can have this for every card that I ever make, so I don't forget to do any of these things when I'm working on a particular project. Let's add another checklist. Maybe I want to coordinate available times with the site of the mural. Maybe I want to prep the wall of the mural. Maybe I want to purchase my supplies. And then maybe I want to make sure to add my receipts to this card. So everything pertaining to this project can live right here. We might add in this description, we might add like contact info and like someone's, name, email, etc. We might add our timeline to be completed summer of 2022. We might add collaborators. So say we need someone to help, or maybe we're, taking on an apprentice, maybe we would add our collaborator information here. Right? I'm just going to add an attachment, just kind of pretending, we're just going to pretend that I have a sketch of what my mural is going to look like. Let's pretend I'm doing a big corgi mural. All right, so I could put my corgi mural mock-up. I could add that right here to the card. And what's nice is like once you add something, it becomes a visual aid. So you can see that right here and on top of the card. If I wanted to add some kind of label to it, I can make up my own labeling system. So maybe my system is like urgent, priority, low priority, or blocked, important, whatever system makes sense for you in your head. You can add different labels to designate that, which is like super, super helpful. So let's talk about using Trello in like a team setting. I'm going to go back to my Erie Arts and Culture. This is just one board for my department within EAC, and kind of show you how a collaborative project might work. So you can see I have my stickies and I have quite a lot. I have a column where it's just Q4 requests that I'm working on, a column where it's just Q1 requests, and then I have my assistant, Monica. I have her column for what she's working on. So any collaborators that I work with, I could make a column for them. You know, if I was working with a photographer, if I was outsourcing social media, I could make a special little column for those people so that I could see everything going on at the same time. But let's break down this card here. We did an exhibit for one of our visiting artists, collaborated here with a local artist on an exhibit called Found and Not Lost. So we had to create a lot of the promotional materials for that and then distribute that on social media and through email marketing, and set up the event registration page. So this was extremely helpful. I need this card as a, you know, creative director. So here's how we set up the card. Whoever from my team is putting in a request for me will set up the card. They'll add copy like in the description here, anything that I need to know. So like bios about each artist statement, the who, what, where, when, how, all of those details. They'll add, you'll see here, all of the supporting imagery that I'm going to add to this particular campaign. All of that imagery is here, and I can click and see all the lovely work. Use these images in different social media promotions and in our online gallery. So this makes it so nice. Like, I can't imagine if I was getting emailed all of these assets and trying to keep track of where they're at on my desktop and stuff. That's just really hard to do when you have a lot of projects going on at one time. And you can see where Patrick and I coordinated back and forth, talked about the logistics, the copy, the process of this project. It's really nice because you can tag team members here and ask them for questions, and they'll get a nice little notification ping that they've been tagged. And this is just super helpful for getting out of emails and streamlining communication, making sure all of the assets are in one place, making sure everything is accurate. When it comes time for like revision, when I'm ready, when I've created everything and I want a second pair of eyes on it, I can, you know, add my link to my assets, or add a JPEG, or add a PDF of whatever I've created, and get input from the rest of the team. Let's see if I have another card to show. Here's another Pro Network webinar that we did in October. Same thing. We've got our description here. We've got all of our photos added, any copy that we needed. I made a little survey to be included and distributed in the collateral. And then when it's done, I can give it a label and mark it as complete. And I'm gonna bop over to one of my coworkers' boards. I just love how she set it up here. This is for our programming department. So this is like, don't get overwhelmed. This is for managing. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 people on this board. So this one's set up by team member. Each team member has a column here. And then they also have a column for shared tasks. So let's click into one of these. So I'm just clicking into Devana's, and you can see she's has her nice little checklists here. She has her due dates, which is awesome. She has her correspondence underneath. And it looks like they're just chipping it away, you know, week by week. They also have all these shared tasks, which is really cool. You can see they're hard at work, checking things off of their lists, corresponding with one another. Let's see if we got the calendar view that we can see some due dates. Okay, so Trello allows for this calendar view, which is really helpful if your mind works this way and you need to see everything laid out for the month. As long as you're very diligent about adding your due dates, you can see everything laid out in this manner, which is really helpful. See what's been completed, see what hasn't been. If you have a question, you can, you know, click into an item here on the calendar and then go directly to that card to find more information. So as you can see, this is one, this is one card, October 18th through 21st for Devana. I cannot emphasize enough how instrumental Trello is for keeping a remote team, you know, on the right track when we have a small team and a lot of work to accomplish. Like I think just these checklists speak for themselves. But it's been so helpful. Let's see, any other boards that I want to show you before I open the floor for any questions? And I do want to say that so online, there are a ton of resources about Trello. Just look on YouTube. If you know, want to set up your board in an entirely different way than anything that I've presented here, all right, there's probably a YouTube video or even like a template within Trello. They have all these different ones, business, design, education. There's something out there to get you started, okay? So I know it can be intimidating to just jump into a blank space. And if you're not ready for that, like start with something that you find out there and then tweak it to make it work for you, all right? You'll figure out what works best for you and how you best stay on task and how you best collaborate with your team. It just takes a bit of time to get over that learning curve, but don't be afraid to click into these templates, take a look, see what works. Any other boards we want to go over? That might be all for boards that I want to click into, because a lot of our Erie Arts and Culture stuff has some, you know, confidential information on it that maybe I don't want to broadcast to the world. So I guess with that, I'll open the floor to any questions that anyone has. Did we get any questions in the chat?
I'll throw in but I kind of want to wait for other people. Okay, let Alexa go. I always defer to Alexa.
You there, Alexa? Do you have any questions? She might not know how to unmute. Do you want to go ahead, John?
My questions are in the chat. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I was chewing.
I understand. Monica, could you, because I'm screen sharing here, so I'm not able to see what's in the chat. Could someone read aloud what questions are in the chat or on Facebook?
Yeah, so Alexa asked, does it work better with any particular platform?
Could you, what do you mean by that, Alexa? Could you expand a little bit?
It's web-based or app-based, right? So
yeah, it's
platform agnostic.
Yeah, it's web-based, but it can integrate with Google Drive. So Google Drive is really awesome for storing photos and things like that. I hear groans from the peanut gallery, but it integrates with Google Drive, and it also has different power-ups for other systems out there. I really have only used it with Google Drive, or synced it with like my Google Calendar. There's ways that you can do that as well. There's a bunch of, let's see what we got in terms of like power-ups.
I mean, I'm trying to find like the simplest thing possible that like the NPAA board could use. And that's coming from like a very shaky skill set for most people. And also, I mean, for some of them, like pretty limited, you know, resources in terms of, you know, a lot of them probably don't even have a laptop or a tablet would be my guess. And a lot of them are probably just working off a smartphone. So
yeah, Trello can be used like as an app. It can be used in the app. You could use it on an iPad. It kind of just depends on how intense you want to get with it, with your attachments and with your comments and your correspondence. But like Alexa, I would really recommend starting off with, you see my Corgi board here, how it's really simple. It's like to do, in progress, done, and then maybe some like stickies for like planning purposes. I would start there, just to get everyone comfortable using it. And then from there, you could do something more intense and like make your way to having one that looks more like my marketing board, if that makes sense.
Okay. I mean, it's certainly worth a shot. So, because email back and forth is not working for us anymore. So
right, it's really hard. Attachments get lost in emails. Sometimes people will like not hit reply all and only reply to one person. That can cause big problems, you know? So yeah, I highly recommend getting everyone on board here if you can. And we would welcome a further conversation just to, you know, sit down with you one-on-one and coach you.
That might be great. Thanks, Jade.
Yeah, you're welcome. Did you have any other questions?
No, I mean, just kind of, you know, I just looked at the website kind of today to kind of look around and see, you know, if I even thought it was something that might be possible for us to utilize. So I want to spend some more time looking at it, basically. Thank you for all these support materials, although they're maybe a little daunting or more, I'll try to view them as aspirational for us.
Yeah. Well, it can be as simple or complex as you like we can really strip and pare it down and just get something semi-functional until people are comfortable, and then, you know, build from there.
Okay, well, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions?
Yeah, you said that you'd share your one of your cards, right? That we would have access to one of your cards.
The templates. Yeah.
Can you send a link in the chat so I can check that out?
So what I'm going to give you access to that you can duplicate and like literally use the same setup is this template for artists.
Yeah, I really want that one.
Yeah. Okay. So I am doing that now.
I mean, I think I want that one. We'll see how it works out. That's one that you came up with, sort of?
Yep. So this same, Patrick and I met with Antonio Howard not too long ago, and this is the setup he's using. And I think he's been using it for about a month. So we'll get some feedback from him a couple months down the line and see maybe how he scaled back or expanded, you know, what worked for him, you know, and I can report back to you with any findings, or I'll just make some updates to this template. But I'm going to send that. I might have to stop sharing.
Oh, you can do it later.
Hop into
it doesn't have to be now.
I'm on the way. It is happening already.
Oh,
it's in motion. There it is. But I'll also post this on Facebook too. But let's hop in. I'm going to, while we still have some time, I'm going to quickly show you some of the other templates that I didn't make, but that exist.
Well, I'm particularly interested in like social media editorial calendar.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to put up a kind of media property that I own. It's owned media, but I'm the editor, the writer, the art director. It's pretty scary, all the things I'm not qualified for that I do. But I've, you know, which makes it even more vital that I have something to keep everything straight. Because, I mean, you know, if you don't post regularly, you get no traffic. So
Right.
I need to stay on task and on my schedule. So yeah, if there's something in there that you could recommend, I'd love to see it.
Let's see what this one, I can either set a custom one up for you, John, or we could see if this one.
Is this like yours or EAC?
This is not mine. So this is one that I just pulled up. I found it. There's all these existing templates online. I did not create this particular one. So
Okay.
This may not be a good one. I'm not sure. I'm just clicking into it now. But it looks like they have this resource column where maybe they got all their like brand style guides. They got a column for ideas. All right. And then they break it down by like what type of ideas: graphics, blog posts, videos, community engagement. Then they actually have their to-do, they're doing, and they're done. But I also like this column for performance. So it looks like they have a nice analytics. So for each campaign, maybe they're breaking down, looking at best performing social platform, best posts, audience demo, follower count, inbox count, ROI. You could also, for a particular campaign, if you got like really good feedback from a stakeholder, maybe they gave you a good quote that you want to use to sell your services in the future. Like, John did an amazing job reporting on Blues and Jazz Festival. You know, you could put that quote down in here because maybe you want to use that as a testimonial later on. I love this performance.
Yeah, I don't do analytics on any of my stuff, I'm afraid. I know I should, but no, that's a great idea. It might get me to do it. Now, is that available on, I hate to say it, on the free version?
Yes.
Because I'm undoubtedly not going to pay for this. You know, it's a great tool, but there's no revenue to offset it. And there's probably not going to be very much.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, you could totally get away with just using the free version for what you're trying to do, John.
Yeah, that's
as a container, something to keep you on track, something where you can see all your due dates at one time, someplace where you can put all of your great ideas in one spot so that you don't forget. And you're not collaborating with other people too much. So I think you'd be just fine.
Except, I am talking to agents and publicists and label executives and stuff. How many of the people that you deal with outside of EAC are on Trello, and do you try to get them on? Because like the email thing, I hate that. When I was at Gannon, we had 5 p.m. and I loved it because it cut down the amount of emails by like 80%.
Yeah.
But people got to be on the system. And, I don't know how many of the people I work with are. Do you evangelize for it and say, hey, you guys ought to try this and get on?
Well, that's kind of what we're doing with our board members and like the board that we have set up just for them to use. There's a way where someone only has to make an account. Okay, it's really simple. Just make an account. And then you give them a link to what you're working on in Trello, and they're able to see it and they're able to comment on it. But they can't do anything else. It's not like they would mess around, move things around, add attachments or anything. You can just like use it. They log in and they're able to correspond with you right there in that card for that particular project. Does that sound like that would help?
Yeah, it might. Yeah. I mean, some of these guys might say, dude, another app, another platform, I can't. But, it's worth trying because the email thing, I don't want my inbox to be my to-do list. I really don't. And
Yeah.
this looks like a great way around that impasse.
Yeah. It's even better when, you know, you're working in a team and then the whole team can agree, okay, we're getting out of email, we're only using Trello. But I understand when you're freelancing or working with different clients in different places, you know, they might not all adopt Trello, but you can at least show them it and see if they're just willing to streamline their correspondence all in one spot.
Yeah, I should probably put a link or something like that on my website and in my email sig to let people know, hey, I'm on this. And they may say, oh, you're on Trello, let's do that.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Any other questions? Monica, do you have any questions for the good of the order, for the good of the group? Anything?
No, I don't. No.
Okay. Okay, I think, you know, we're almost at 7, so I think I will close if there's no questions on Facebook either. Anything in the Facebook comments? Okay.
No, no comments.
Well, I do want to thank you all for coming out and spending time with us tonight. Our Pro Network webinars, we're having them twice a month. So check back with our social medias, check back on our social media accounts soon, because we will be posting information for the next 2 Pro Network webinars that will take place in January. But until then, we will see you all back here after the holidays. Stay safe. You know, hope you adopt a project management system that works for you, whether it's Trello or not, and that it makes your life a lot easier. So best of luck. Thanks
Jade.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Okay. Bye-bye.